All right, it's me again. Another one of my in the car videos. On my way to go play a game called Gaslands. It's a post-apocalyptic game. That's what I've been doing for a while since I've been retired. Went from playing in a band, doing my taekwondo, to playing games since I'm no longer employable because of my injuries or whatever medical conditions from serving in 3 deployments. But this video is not actually about the deployments. Now with 20 subscribers to my channel, I guess you guys want to know a number of different things, why I don't make super cool videos, but that's not the problem. That's not the issue. Again, I'm like, well, okay. And somebody sent me a comment through email asking me about Mournblade, my band that I played in, because I have a number of videos online, various shows and music and stuff like that. Got a lot of thumbs down for our band's performance and our music, and a few thumbs up. So it's kind of a 50-50 split in between people who really just tries to troll or like the band. And personally, I really don't give a goddamn if you like it or not. It was all basically in fun, you know, trying to keep it very, very basic as humanly possible. But unfortunately, I never made a video or explained what the band was all about. Now, somebody asked that I should do a video about it. So I am going to make a short video about the band Mournblade, the United States heavy metal band. There's one in the UK, and then there's a black metal band called Mournblade who did one CD. And of course the UK band was around for a few years before they broke up and then came back around again years later. And since we didn't have the internet back in 1987 when we first formed Mournblade, me and Rick Humphrey, the guitarist, and I was the bass player, lead vocalist. We didn't have any drummer or anything at the time. We thought it'd be a good idea. Yeah, man, it's called the band Mournblade because we used to play Dungeons and Dragons a lot. And again, we had no idea that there was a UK band called Mournblade because we didn't give a shit about collecting heavy metal magazines like Circus and Hip Raider back then. So we really didn't have the money for that, you know, for that kind of shit. So we formed the band Mournblade in 1987 completely by mistake. Rick, he played a guitar for about 2 years, and I met him in 1986, I believe it was. And we used to play Dungeons and Dragons together with a bunch of other guys. Rick, he knew how to play stuff like GBH, played some Slayer, a little bit of Metallica, played some Venom, so he was one of those kind of guys. I myself, I was mostly just liked old bands like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and I was not a very good bass player. I knew how to play some stuff, but I didn't really know how to play. And I had a Gibson EB3 at the time, 1967 Gibson EB3 bass. And all our equipment was pretty thrashed and beat up. And he decided, hey, you know, let's go jam just for the shit of it. So we set up the amplifiers in my living room. My mom was off working. And we just started making shit up as we went. And the first track that we ever made up, I just started going into the vocals with the microphone while I'm playing. And the first song we ever played was Hades. Gates of Hades, or Hades we call it. And you will find that on the Mournblade Pray for the Dead CD we did back in back in 2008 for VD Records. Maybe some of you guys might be able to find it. I never found the damn thing. I only got 2 copies of it. And VD Records only made about 300 copies total and I have no idea where the rest of them are. I've never seen them on eBay. I never saw them on Amazon. Only the Mournblade Mangled Lies CD is available on Amazon and eBay. People selling them from all, and the CD end up in other countries like Greece, Italy, Germany, Poland. There was some that was in England, so I was really surprised. But getting ahead of myself, so he's like, wow, that kind of sounded like death metal according to Rick. And what we did is we recorded on the cassette player every time we jammed together. So we got, probably in my archives and cassette mode, about 50 cassettes of us just jamming, trying to make up stuff as we went. And I never really got into trying to write lyrics, so I was making it up as I was going. So Gates of Hades was the first one we ever did, and it took us years and years on and off to clean the track up. And then we did Mournblade, or better known as Stealer of Souls, was the next track that we did. And then eventually other tracks showed up that never made it to album form. We had like Yurkun the Usurper, Anthraxis the Decayed was another one. Lord of Chaos was another one that actually appears on the Mangled Lies CD. So on and off, we were, pretty much jamming together, being awful loud. We had friends over watching us. We had other people coming over watching us play. The drummer situation wasn't very good. We all tried to do the drumming and tried to mix it into the cassettes. So Mournblade itself was more of a something to mess around with. And then I started writing lyrics. And I started writing, I wrote Holy War, Mangled Lies, of course, Pray for the Dead, Machines of War was another one. Rick and Todd, our drummer that we ended up picking up back in 2006, him and Rick did an instrumental called Metal Storm. And we didn't really get a chance to do any kind of serious recording until I came back from my second deployment in 2006. And I saved up while I was deployed about $25,000. So we went right into the studio. I said, you know what, let's take this and let's run with it. And went right into the studio, went directly right into the friggin' studio. And we laid down 5 tracks for the Mangled Lies kind of EP with 5 tracks. Most of your EPs are usually 3 tracks, but 5-track EP. And I managed to get Open Grave Records to release the CD, and had over 1,000 CDs made. And from what I was told, one of the tracks ended up in some sort of porno movie called Heavy Metal Hookers or something. I don't know. I can't really confirm that or not. Todd, the drummer, wasn't really a metal drummer. He was kind of more of a rock and roll guy. So most of our recording money actually went into trying to get him to play the drums to more of a thrash metal, really heavy metal sound. So I mean, I must have spent probably $4,000 or $5,000 easily just on retakes, and a lot of pasting together. So we did the Mournblade Mangled Lies CD, and then after about 3 months, because we couldn't get any gigs going on, Open Grave Record decided to drop us. I don't know why. There was only 12 bands on the damn label to begin with, but they dropped us. So we continued to do a lot of practicing at the Nightingale Studios in Burbank. I mean, we practiced every friggin' weekend. And of course, naturally, you have to pay for that. It's like $150 or something like that per day. some outrageous amount of money that I was pretty much hemorrhaging. And we recorded, well, I deployed again. I ended up going to Iraq the following year. And while Rick and Todd continued to do, do a lot of jamming and keeping up with what was going on. And I was actually writing lyrics while I had my time off over in Iraq, and I was sending lyrics home for Rick to see if he could put some music to. And some of that music ended up on the 1917 EP, and we had 3 tracks on that when we went to VD Records. So the EP was called 1917, and we had Metal Storm on there, Burning Force, and 1917. Burning Force was an old song that we did back in, oh Jesus Christ, God, 1998. So we did that. We did a lot more jamming. Then we later did Pray for the Dead. That's when pretty much we didn't have Todd play on the CD at all. And Caleb Anderson from Five Finger Death Punch ended up doing all the drums to and engineering on the Pray for the Dead CD. And we released that. And then we ended up playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go, the Airliner Club in downtown LA. And we were pretty tightened up by then. We allowed Andrew to join the band to play bass while I concentrated on vocals. And we recorded live at the Whiskey A Go-Go, Mournblade, and that was the last BDC album that we re-released. And apparently things was kind of going bad with the band, and me and Rick had a major falling out over some sort of miscommunication. A guy that I knew for over 20 something years, and we played on and off in Mournblade for over 20, almost 23, 24 years. And there was rumors that he died later on because he completely cut contact from me. So we listed it on the Dead Rock Stars Club, or as a casualty of the band, blah blah blah. And I thought nothing of it, and I haven't played ever since. Well, just recently, about 3 to 4 days ago, Rick actually went on Facebook, and he made a pretty cutting comment about him being dead. And obviously he was pretty bent about it, but I tried to communicate with him, say, hey dude, it's been 10 years since we last talked, we had a major falling out, but it was not because of my planning. I tried to explain to him that the whole situation was a miscommunication. He took something kind of wrong, but apparently he doesn't give a shit, and he has not communicated me back. And his Facebook has been active for 3 years, and he could have looked me up on Facebook or looked at the Mournblade webpage and could have made some sort of comment to actually get in contact, but instead he chose to be a asshole still. So that's pretty much the end of this video, and the end of Mournblade. And I tried to form another band, but who in the fuck is, there's nothing going on out there in Los Angeles. I'm 55 years old, and I still think I might have a little bit left in the tank, but everybody is, everybody's pretty much just fucked up and trolled out. So here you go. I know I should be getting a lot of rude comments or whatever, but I don't give a flying fuck. Been there, done that, and this is for, in the comments section, asking about my band, Mournblade, the United States thrash heavy metal band. So, hooah.